Hello again.
Hello. Hey, Dominik. I'm sorry, I was facing some technical difficulties, but I just got
Oh, now I
everything
hear you.
perfect right now. So we
Okay.
let's recapitulate what we were talking about. So let me do again the presentation. My name is David Santiago Pérez, and we're with Dominik Guszman, who's a teacher at a high school in Austria. He's an English teacher. And so our topic for today is language in culture. So, for the first question, let's try to recapitulate because we were already talking about this. So, what do you think is the relationship between language and culture?
You want me to say it again?
Yes, please. I'm sorry about that.
Okay. All right. So, the connection between language and culture is that you cannot learn a language um, without the cultural aspect of the people that are speaking the language. I mean, you could, for example, learn these constructed languages that don't exist in the real world because there are no people talking these languages. For example, Klingon or how it's called, I don't know, these movie languages
Mm,
because there is no culture for it. So, but those languages don't have enough words, so the cultural aspect is not that important. So you wouldn't find a word, I don't know, for any cultural aspect in these languages because there is simply no culture involved in these movie languages. But in the real world, like learning Spanish, or speaking English, or speaking German, you you cannot simply just learn words and then use them like you would use them in your mother tongue because there are different interactions in
mm,
other people cultures and people that speak other languages. So you gotta learn these interactions
yeah.
too if you wanna speak the language.
I like very much something that you mentioned, and that is the interaction. I myself consider culture is specifically related in language when we're talking about the interaction about people, because without the interaction wouldn't be that talk about culture. All right, let's go for the next question. What is the influence of
Yeah.
culture in the process of a foreign language development?
Mhm. So the influence of culture is that um, you learn cultural concepts that are transmitted by language.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, for example, in the German language, the word bread is different than in the French language. So if you said to someone in German, "Do you wanna? I'm going to buy a bread." The culture the normal concept would be different than if somebody said in French that they would buy a bread because in French the bread is long and you know
Mm,
it's a
yeah, it has
baguette,
different
it's a
properties.
normal bread.
That's
Yes.
that's
And
really good.
also the way you and also the way some phrases are used. For example, um, some cultural interaction that is learned in a language is how to say thank you and how to greet, how to introduce yourself.
Mm.
It's not the same in every language. So
And
you cannot simply translate it and then apply it in another language.
yeah,
Those are like interaction patterns that you gotta learn by being involved in the culture.
that's right.
And that is important if you want to master a language. If you're on a very low level, then it's not so important. But being on a high level, you gotta know how um, interaction patterns
Now,
that are used.
now that you mention those expressions, I actually want to ask you, which cultural expressions do you think countries have through language?
Which cultural expressions do countries have? One expression that I think is like a concept that is transmitted in Spanish, for example, is parecer de, and in German it's totally different. We use it's different in that way that in Spanish you have the mental concept that something is missing, like carecer de, and in German or in English you would translate it, I think, differently. That you think of, I don't know, you would use a negation. You know what I mean? And in Spanish there is a word that,
like the grammatical process is different. I understand you.
I'm sorry, what?
No, that is, I understood what you said. All right. Now, why do you think is it important to have an oral tradition in a country?
You mean like transmitting stories
Yes.
of our grandparents?
Like transmitted stories, folk songs, something that is cultural transmitted. Why is it important in language for us to have that tradition, oral tradition?
Well, it's important because it forms our identity and personality. I'm just thinking about children that maybe are not used to good night stories. I don't know if you call them good night stories in English, but in German it's a story that you tell your children before they go to sleep, and that's also an oral tradition. I don't know if that's the case in all countries, but it's something that is important to form the identity. It's also important to have like a tradition of learning something new, because those stories are actually have a morality, like a crucial point that is needed to be transmitted. That's the point, that you learn something. And if you don't have these stories when you're a child, then you're not so used to having fun hearing a story, having fun learning something new. Because in some courses I had, the point was that people who grow up hearing stories every night and growing up with parents that are reading to them before they go to sleep, those people are more likely to be more educated, because they are interested in books, they are interested in stories.
You're very
people
right.
Who will grow up without hearing.
And you mentioned something really important, and it's the aspect of having fun. And I really like that. It's really important to mention that aspect, that is learning a language should be centered around fun aspects. All right. Now, what do you think about this statement? It's a question statement. So, do we teach language using culture, or do we teach culture using language?
Both, definitely both, because in language there are some phrases and concepts that I noticed this myself in German, for example. There are phrases that that you say all the time and you never think about them, and then somebody who doesn't speak the language takes them literally, and then they confront you with that, and you think, oh yes, really, it does mean that, but I never thought about it, because it's the concept that you have when saying these phrases. So you don't think about being a native. Most of the time, you don't think about the words literally. Like, for example, in Spanish, tomar el pelo.
Yeah,
It's like, to ridicularize somebody, to make a joke, to not be serious.
that's true.
And you don't think about somebody really taking the hair off the people.
Yeah, and
And so those,
like,
yes,
if we're questioning ourselves this question, it's like setting language and culture apart. So it doesn't make sense. So I agree very much with you on that. And you know, previously we were talking about um, the fun aspects of learning a language. So this is my final question for you. Um, and it's regarding the strategies you do in your high school classes, and is specifically what are the strategies that you use in your English classes to incorporate culture, and if possible could you give me some examples about that?
hmm of course. In my classes, I very much use movies and music and series, and also like like testimonials from the internet, like how did people learn the language that they were passionate about.
Mm,
Like, culture is not only culture; it's a very, very broad term. So
yeah.
you can think about culture the way that, like, the tradition of music, of art, of movies, of politics, of a certain society that could be
Yeah.
defined as culture. But culture is also like the sentiment, the feeling of the people in, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
It's
you're talking about the incorporation in classes of both traditional culture and popular culture. So some teachers of languages just focus on learning the popular culture aspects of a language, like new songs, new movies. But you mentioned something really important, that is the learning of art and politics. That is really interesting. Well, I really appreciate the
and I
time.
just have a comment.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Can I just comment something?
Yeah, of course. Thank
Yeah,
you.
no problem. Just because it got into my mind now. In Spanish, for example, in my class when I learned Spanish, it was always the case, and I think it still is always the case, that in those textbooks, when hearing a listening comprehension, for example,
Mm,
or reading a text that's so Spanishized, I don't know how to say it, but it's so, like, maybe it's too Spanish. Like for example, always the guitar at the beginning of comprehension. It's like the total stereotype Spanish like of teaching, because I think nowadays it's not always the case. That's like, for example, teaching German using the like the leather trousers and the diable and things that most of the people don't would ever never wear.
Mm.
but it's the way how other people see us, and I think the guitar, the Spanish guitar, is not like, it's still, you know it, but it's still, it's not so common anymore like it was before, because of the internet and because of America, and it's all more, it's less tradition and less
More global.
typical country. I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, so I understood that there's a little bit less of a focus uh, on a focus area of, like, let's say, the Spanish guitar, and it's transitioning to a more global sense of every country shares these types of things. Would you agree with that? That there's a more global aspect of culture?
With what?
Regarding, you were talking about the Spanish
Yes.
text that is very Spanish, but I said, well, all right, the opposite side to that is that there's a more global aspect to culture.
Yes, I think I would agree on that.
All right. Well, that will be pretty much it. You said uh, very interesting things, and I appreciate your time. Thank you very much, Dominik, for this. And
It was the
thank you. All right. Well, we're gonna talk in the next time. For this, this is my goodbye also. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.